part in that. Yeah. And you grow up and you give grace. I don't know.
No, I know that, but I mean, when you were younger, though, like I always tell people here, like, listen, my mom and dad are great, but you know, when it comes to feelings, my dad didn't necessarily have many conversations around about that, right? Because that's his way he grew up. He grew up from Ghana. He came from Ghana. He came over to here. He had to work hard. He had to focus on getting money. He had to focus on having 2-3 jobs. You know what I mean? Like we know the migrant story. Do you know what I mean? It is tough.
Walk
Like
70
it's not
miles
easy.
barefoot to school. What are you crying about?
You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. You know, that's because that's what they came from. So they understand how to survive. But
They didn't walk nowhere.
if you're born in a land of the free, like UK and US, I call it the land of the free compared to where we were.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes emotions aren't necessarily the first thing that's on somebody's mind. So I was kind of seeing that, okay, great, I get it. When I'm older, I also understand the nature of my parents and what they've been through. But I'm saying, but when you were a kid though, did you feel like your voice was heard? Did you feel validated in your feelings? Did you feel those things at points in time? And it doesn't mean that parents are bad. It just means they had a different story to you.
Yeah, I was the child that didn't take no, and I can't tell you where that came from, right? So, yeah, because my older sister, you know, her story's a little bit different, but for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm on the debate team and I need to get to somewhere at Saturday. Well, we're not taking you, and I had to figure it out. Or, all right, I played flag football and I swam. Growing up, it was kind of just like, well, we're not picking you up. Figure it out. And
Same here.
I figured it out. And like I applied for college. It was kind of like go to school, but then you didn't really get much support in that. It was like, what do you need? And it's just like, I got it, Mom. Like, I don't think I know for a fact, my mother has said she's never worried about me. Like me leaving the household wasn't to go off to college, wasn't a concern for her. Like, cause I've been figuring it out probably since like middle school. Like in
How old is middle school?
I don't know, like 12 to maybe like a 6th grade. So 6th through 8th grade.
Okay.
I know it's before 16. So
that's fine.
Maybe 12 through 15, that age frame, I'd say. Yeah. So specifically in high school, like, yeah. For sure. And we moved around. So I was in California for a year and came back. And then like my senior year, my parents built a house somewhere else and we moved there. And I had to maneuver in finding new friends and figuring it out there too. So yeah. Y'all, excuse my energy too. It's a little down. Normally more upbeat, but
energy's fine. Energy's fine. I'm trying to just identify for yourself. So I think because you said something interesting, right? You said from about 13, 12, you're figuring ish out. I know too. I'm firstborn, so I was doing a lot of child rearing, even though it wasn't my children. There was a lot of child rearing. All right, I can change nappies. I can distill. You know what I mean? I was doing a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? When it comes to babies, I watched them walk. I watched them talk. You know what I mean? I fed them. I mean, I didn't have breasts, but I fed them. You know what I mean? I did a lot of that. You know, listen, I watched them crawl. I did all that. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of that stuff because you're firstborn. It's just natural. Happens to families. Yeah. But I also realized, you know, I figured out a lot of stuff on my own as a youngster. And what you said something made me really think. It was when I've asked my dad, come and pick me up. We're like, if you got yourself there, you can't get yourself back. You know what I mean? Figure it out, because if you can go, you can come back. And so you quickly understand that, you know, you gotta handle your own. But what I also realize is, as I'm handling my own and I'm getting stuff done. I mean, like I said, I think the reason why I'm enamored a little bit by yourself is how successful you've become with it as well. But I also realized the other side of it, which is why I knew that I felt something. I said in the beginning, I said, is it easy to ask for help? Because I said that promotes usually a lot of independence early on. So I wanted to kind of maybe ask you a question, like, so having to figure it all out, when you look back now, and without obviously, of course, you got success, everything like that now. So you'd be like, oh yeah, I am where I am. But I'm saying, if you look back at it though, look at younger Jamala. Would you have wanted it that way for younger Jamala, to have figured it all out at that point in time?
Honestly, I think it made me how I am now. Like, I don't take no's, I don't back down. I'm very much so like 10 toes down about things that I'm truly passionate about, and I go for it. I think all of that actually stemmed from, now that I'm thinking about it and we're having these conversations, stem from those moments, right? If your parents who you live under are telling you no, you can't do something, and you still do it, and then you figure out how to get home at night, and then those same things that you've done helped you be able to be this well-rounded person, like, so that you can put all this on a college resume. I think that's what built me. Now that I think about it, might have to raise my kids that way. If I haven't, I don't know.
All right, no, cool. Okay,
those suckers in boarding school, figure it out.
Hey, listen, listen. I hear you. I hear you. I'm not. By the way, I wasn't saying if there was any regret necessarily. It's more of a case of just looking back at younger self. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that just promotes independence. But you're good. Okay, cool. So, for you then, because I think I kind of crossed you, so I didn't interrupt a little bit. Your relationship with your mum, she was obviously quite, the fiery one. You kind of, she likes to rib you a little bit. You know what I'm saying, and that you toughen you up a little bit as well. Okay, so for you then, coming into I guess high school, going into college, etc. Who was Jamala at that point? You know what I mean? I know you had some figuring out to do in terms of courses and everything, but who was Jamala at that point? You know what I mean? Going into high school, going into college, what was Jamala at that point?
I've always been a bit of a nerd, so definitely was in advanced classes. I'd also say, like, the school that I attended, I was there from, like, they had a K through 12 basically, and they actually have a university as well that's unaffiliated, but it's still the same name. So I literally still had the same friends for a while, and I actually left in middle school, moved to California, came back, and went back to the school. And then I left